Okay, on today's video we're going to explore how powerful the loads are that I shoot on my videos. I fan live ammunition frequently, and some people think that I shoot cowboy action, bunny fart type loads, and I don't. I shoot a variety of different power of loads, and I fan a variety of different power loads. So I'm going to show you 6 different loads that I shoot, and I'm going to fan all 6. We're going to chronograph them live on camera to show you how fast they're going and prove how fast they're going, and then I'm going to fire a string, I'm going to fan a string, and you can see the different amounts of recoil that I deal with when I fan. So to show you the different loads real quick. Okay, so there's 6 different loads that I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to stick to 45 Colt, just the one caliber for today. In the future, we'll do 357 Magnum, some others, but today it's 45 Colt only. And the first thing I'm going to show you is my lightest load. That's my lightest smokeless load. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't ever know what the new rule is around here. So I'm not going to tell you what the load is exactly, but this is my lightest smokeless load. It is not a cowboy action load. It's heavier than a cowboy action load. It's a 200 grain lead bullet. That's a coated bullet. Okay, and that's the lightest load. We're going to start with that one. We're going to chronograph it, and I'm going to fan it. Then the same bullet in a medium power smokeless load. I'm gonna show you that and fan it. And then my heavy smokeless load. Now I've actually never fanned that one before. That, instead of being a 200 grain bullet, is a 230 grain bullet. I've loaded that primarily for killing varmints around my place out of a rifle. But it is a full power 45 Colt load with a 230 grain bullet. Now it's not a maximum load. That's a different thing, but it's a full power load. Now from there we're going to switch to black powder. And I'm going to show you my light black powder load with the 200 grain bullet, my medium black powder load with the 200 grain bullet, and then my heavy black powder load with the 200 grain bullet. And so, like I said, I'm not going to tell you exactly what the load is. You're going to have to guess, and you're going to kind of figure out when you see how fast the bullets go. I'm using the Garmin Chronograph, which I just got. It's an awesome tool for measuring the speed of bullets. And hopefully, what I hope to do is show, hopefully I'll be able to show you the readings on that thing live on the camera as I fire. I'm sure it won't pick up the fanning strings other than maybe the first shot. It might get the first shot. So I'm gonna fan 2 or 3 slow, show you how fast they're going, and then I'm gonna rip a string of fire on there as fast as I can. And you probably won't get all the chronographs on that, but you might get one to show you, give you an idea how fast they're going. So let me get set up and we'll get started. Okay, we're going to try the first string of fire with the lightest 45 Colt loads that I shoot. I'm going to fan 3 shots onto that steel. 749, 776. 771. Okay, so let me write that down real quick. That's better. So I don't know how many shots that picked up. Probably 1 would be my guess. But anyway, that's the first string. That's the lightest ammunition. You can see what the recoil was. There's not a lot of recoil. There's some. Not a cowboy action load. It's running 750 average. So now we're gonna go up to the next caliber. Shut this off for a minute. Okay, we're up to the next load. This is my medium 45 Colt smokeless load. I'm gonna fire 3 slow to get good readings. We'll write down the average. 821. That wasn't good. Get a dead one. 869 and 871. All right, for an average of 854. But you'll be able to see the recoil. And what you're going to notice is that in spite of the fact that these loads aren't bunny fart loads, I can manage the recoil fairly well with one hand. One of the reasons why is because when I'm fanning, I'm gripping with all 4 fingers in my thumb. I'm squeezing with the trigger finger too, because I'm using the hammer to fire. So I got more strength, more power over the gun than if I'm touching off each shot. Okay, here we go. 5 shots. Let's see if that picked them up, how many it picked up. Okay, so we're up to the most powerful smokeless load that I personally load, and that is a 230 grain bullet. I mean, we're talking about 45 Colt. The most powerful 45 Colt load that I use is a 230 grain bullet. We were shooting 200s. It's got more powder than the other one, and I've never fanned this one before. It's going to be interesting. So I'm going to fan 3 slowly. Oops, I shot too fast. What did I get? I think I just got 1. 879. So it's not much faster than the other load, but it's 230 grains instead of 200. So it's a more powerful load. 879.9, almost 880. I'll load up a few more. You know, the most powerful 45 Colt load in the Old West, most people know this, it was the 255 grain bullet over 40 grains of black powder. And that is the most powerful. That's a full case of black powder in a big bullet. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Army, a few years later, went to a lighter load because it kicked too hard for their average soldier to manage. And it was still a man killer. I mean, the 45 Colt is a man killing load. And I'm sure it killed a lot of men in the Old West and beyond. All right, here we go. The 230 grain, full power load, 45 Colt smokeless. So I don't know what that recoil looked like. It felt like it wasn't coming up that much, really, considering how powerful it was. We picked up an 849, so yeah, it's running about 850, about the same speed as the other loads, but again, a bigger bullet. So, okay, now we're going to switch over to black powder. Let me turn off the cameras. We'll get set up for black powder. We're going to do light, medium, and heavy load in the black powder, and we'll compare it to these numbers. Okay, now we have the lightest black powder load that I shoot. It's a 200 grain bullet. We're gonna see how fast it shoots. And I only have 6 of these, so I don't think I'm gonna rapid fire them. I just want to make sure that I get a reading. All the other black powder loads I have more of, but I only have 6 of these. So I'm just gonna fan them slowly, see if we can get all these readings. 777, 733, 780, 790, 727, and 732. So there's 6 in a row. Average was 757 feet per second. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, now we're up to the medium power black powder load. I'm going to fire 3 over the chronograph slow. I got to remember to not fan it fast, so we can try to get all 3 shots. 797, 774, missed the steel, 798 for an average of 790. The minimum was 774, maximum 798. Really like this Garmin chronograph. I had the old kind that everybody has, you know, that the hoops you got to shoot through, and it's just looking at the shadow the bullet leaves. They're really troublesome. But this thing, I'm shooting anywhere over. It's getting a reading as long as I don't shoot too fast. It's great. All right, so we're going to load up 5. And rapid fire 5. Running real close to 800 feet a second. All right, here we go. Chronograph on. Probably just pick up the first shot. Alrighty, shot 5. I'm sure I only got the first shot. I got it at 740. Yeah, I got one shot at 740. So anyway, that's fanning between 750 and 800 feet a second with a 200 grain bullet black powder. Now I got my most powerful black powder load coming up, so hang in there. Okay, so now I'm loaded up with 3 of my most powerful black powder loads. It's a full case of black powder under a 200 grain bullet, no wad, no filler. I'm gonna fire 3 slow. Whoops, I went too fast. 979, I got 1. 954, let me do another one, so we get 3. Forget I gotta fire slow for the chronograph. All right, one more. Missed the steel, but I got, okay, 917. So, low was 917, high was 979, average 950. That is the most powerful load of today. Well, I mean, the 230 grain at 879 in foot-pounds and all, that's going to be very similar. This is a 200 grain doing, what I say, 950? Yeah. Okay, so let's load up 5 and fan it. So you can see it's not equal to the most powerful 45 Colt black powder load that ever was, but it's I'm sure it's equal to the more common Army load. The Army load was 30 grain. The eventual Army load was something like 30 grains in a 225 or 200 grain bullet. I don't remember. You guys will know. You can leave it in the comments. But it's not the max most powerful load, but it's one step down, and it does have significant recoil. But it's still fannable. You know, I'm gonna put 6 in there just for fun. I was fanning 5, but I'm not faster on it, so I'll do 6. All right, here we go. Full power, black powder, maximum load. Try that again. I did something wrong. Thing's getting hot. Probably have to fan it a little bit slower than I'm used to. Just pay attention to the recoil. It's seized up there. Getting hot on me. Got a primer that backed out or something. I got 2 more. I got 4 off. This thing is hot. Picked up another 916, it looks like. I'm just going to shoot the last 2 slow. Use them up, we'll get another reading. Or maybe I got 1 left. Let me see what I got. I got 2. All right, so we'll get another reading here. There we go. 986 and 957. All right, so the overall average for the ones that picked up was 957. The high was 991 and the low was 916. So that's my most powerful black powder load that I shoot. That's the first time I fanned that one, to be honest. I've never fanned that one that powerful before, but it's interesting. Okay, let me clean up for a second. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you guys, if I can keep a shadow off of it, and that is the notes that I took. The smokeless loads, light, medium, and heavy. 200 grain bullets, all except for the heavy smokeless was a 230 grain bullet. And the average speeds for the light was 766. The medium was 854 with the 200 grain bullet, and the heavy was 879 with a 230. Black powdered light was 757, medium was 790, and the heavy was 950 feet per second with the 200 grain bullet. So those are my loads. Okay, so I thought I'd just show you the plate I was shooting, just for fun. And I missed it a few times, but I hit it most of the time. But there that is. And so anyway, thanks for joining me on my video about the different ammunition I use and what it looks like to fan different powers of both smokeless and black powder. And I will see you on the next video.